I think the virtual things would be a great solution for our agency.
Well,
we saw
having all the meetings just like this, we were watching. Even if we were allowed to say the public, even if we said the public can come here, that would be fine. The problem is that if that's the forum when you have to be here, and the ones that aren't here might have a valid reason that's announced on an agenda,
But those are limited.
Right.
The options are limited, very limited.
I ran through all the scenarios.
Yeah.
Barbara and I did to try to find a way to help you guys out. I couldn't find one. So what about this? Other than this.
I don't think anyone has complained about having to come in for meetings. We've always done that, as long as I've been.
Yeah.
I've given this presentation to probably more. Most of them. Only one.
I'll go that way.
Yeah. There's only one that agency that have this available, and it's, to be honest, very stressful for staff. Because they're managing the public comments, the
Yeah.
in-person comments, the request comes up, getting on agenda, to make sure it's voted on. I mean, it is, and then if the meeting, the virtual component goes down, the meeting stops on the option to take there.
Yeah,
So
right.
it is,
Right.
it adds a layer of stress and, and not that it can't be done, but most agencies are represent all transportation agencies, so. Just do in person, or the old teleconference cycles where you go offsite. That's still available, right? So someone's gonna drive, they can go to their local city hall and.
Yeah.
Just post it there.
So SCAG approved it, they were in favor. So I heard.
I don't
Yeah.
like it for a meeting or committees.
Yes, I think RCTC.
But it sounds like they're confused because they said in March,
Yeah,
how can you be?
The man.
I don't see how that works, but then when you go to April, then some of them have to come in person. I don't think Linda was feeling confused.
Welcome to Zoom. Enter your meeting ID followed by pound.
During closed session this round, I recommend just telling them we're gonna bring back the idea of a memorial instead of asking for.
Enter your participant ID followed by pound.
right.
Otherwise,
Okay.
just press
Non-agenda
pound.
items.
Okay. That's right.
Otherwise, I worry about the morning closed session. And the vote.
You are in the meeting now.
Just what do they think?
Yeah.
We'll get about that for a whole.
Test, mistake. Okay, we're muted now. Camera's off.
Bridget, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for attending today's regular board of directors meeting. Excuse me for standing up, and I got a cramp in my leg, so I'm gonna be standing up for a little bit. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin with today's business.
Yeah,
please
I've done,
begin
I had fourth grade and
on
then.
your devices, and mute your devices until you're called upon by the chair or the clerk to speak. To ensure that we have an organized opportunity for everyone to speak, we have divided the group into groups, and I will call upon each group separately. When your group number is called, we're all used to this, please announce your name, then proceed with your comments or questions. We will remind you of your group assignment shortly. I will ask the public to speak after the board. Will the clerk please read the special notice?
Yes, Chair. On September 16, 2021, Governor Newsom signed Assembly Bill number 361 that amends and extends certain Brown Act requirements pertaining to telephonic conferencing of local government meetings through January 1st, 2024. As such, RTA has opted to conduct the February 23rd, 2023 board meeting via teleconference. Participants can participate via teleconference in each participant's own office or home area, which will not be made physically accessible to the public.
Thank you. For today's meeting, we will take roll call. Will the clerk please take the roll call?
City of Banning,
Yes, Councilman Gonzalez present.
City of Beaumont, City of Beaumont?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you. City of Cali Mesa?
Yes.
City of Canyon Lake?
Here.
City of Corona?
I'm here.
City of Eastvale?
Here.
City of Hemet? Just in time. City of Hemet?
I'm sorry, did you say?
City of Rupa Valley?
Here.
Yep, I gotcha.
I'm here. Sorry about that.
No worries. City of Lake Elsinore?
Here.
City of Menifee?
Here.
City of Moreno Valley?
Here.
City of Marietta?
Here.
City of Norco? City of Paris?
Here.
City of Riverside?
Here.
City of San Jacinto?
Here.
Okay.
City
I
of
can find the phone
Temecula?
in my terminal.
Temecula's here.
Thank you.
City of Wildemar?
Here.
County of Riverside District 1?
Here.
County of Riverside District 2?
Here.
County of Riverside District 3?
Here.
And County of Riverside District 5? You see Director Hurtado there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Chair, you have a quorum.
here.
Members, please remember
Yes.
to remute your devices.
Thank you. I'm going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance. If you can, stand up and join me, honoring our country. Thank you. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'm going to try sitting down. I'm having a real hard time here. I did a lot of physical work yesterday, and I guess I'm not as zen as I thought I was. Okay, item 4 is public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments for non-agenda items. Will the clerk please read the directions for public comments?
Yes. Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to matters not listed on the agenda. Members of the public may comment on any matter listed on the agenda at the time that the board considers that matter. Each person's presentation is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Have we received any comments, requests in writing?
No, Chair, I have not.
Okay. Is there anyone on the line that would like to make comments on items not listed on the agenda? Hearing none, the public comments portion for items not listed on the agenda is now closed. Will the clerk please read the board member group assignments?
Yes, Chair. Group 1, we have Ruben Gonzalez, Mike Lara, Zach Schwenk, Bridget Moore, and Alonzo Ledesma. Group 2, we have Jeremy Smith, Jim Steiner, Timothy J. Sheridan, Dean Dinas, Lisa DeForest, and Linda Krupa. Group 3, we have Jocelyn Yao, Brian Berkson, David Marquez, Malcolm Corona, and Steve Hemingway. And Group 4, we have Karen Spiegel, Jerry Sinsich, Andrea Mayers or Robin Brock, and Ixian Gutierrez.
Thank you. The next item is item 5, approval of minutes for the January 26, 2023 regular Board of Directors meeting. Do any board members have any comments or corrections? Do I have a motion to approve?
Moreno Valley.
Wildemar, second.
Second? Will the clerk please take the roll call?
City of Banning,
Yes.
City of Beaumont,
Yes.
City of Cali Mesa,
Yes.
City of Canyon Lake,
Aye.
City of Corona,
Yes.
City of Eastvale,
Yes.
City of Hemet,
Yes.
City of Harupa Valley,
Yes.
City of Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
City of Menifee,
I'll abstain since I wasn't at the meeting. Thank you.
City of Moreno Valley,
Yes.
City of Marietta,
Yes.
City of Paris,
Yes.
City of Riverside,
Yes.
City of San Jacinto,
Yes.
City of Temecula,
Yes.
City of Wildomar,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 1,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 2,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 3,
Yes.
and County of Riverside District 5.
Yes.
Chair, that is 20 yeses and 1 abstention.
Thank you. Okay, next item is the consent calendar. All items of the consent calendar will be approved by one motion, and there will be no discussion on individual items unless a board member or member of the public requests a specific item be pulled from the calendar for separate discussion. Are there any questions or comments from group number 1? Group number 2? Group number 3? Group number 4? Is there a member of the public who would like to pull an item for discussion? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
District 1 so moves.
Waldemar, second.
Second?
Waldemar, second.
Thank you. Will the clerk please take the roll call?
Yes, Chair. City of Banning,
Yes.
City of Beaumont,
Yes.
City of Cali Mesa,
Yes.
City of Canyon Lake,
Aye.
City of Corona,
Yes.
City of Eastvale,
Yes.
City of Hemet,
Yes.
City of Harupa Valley,
Yes.
City of Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
City of Menifee,
Aye.
City of Moreno Valley,
Yes.
City of Marietta,
Yes.
City of Paris,
Yes.
City of Riverside,
Yes.
City of San Jacinto,
I'm sorry, yes.
City of Temecula,
Temecula, yes.
City of Wildomar,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 1,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 2,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 3,
Yes.
and County of Riverside District 5.
Yes.
Chair, it's unanimous.
Thank you all. Okay, next is item number 7, telephone and virtual conferencing policy for Board of Directors committee meetings and regular meetings. Today we have Cassia Trapezoinian, is that right? Will present, and Barbara's absent. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, members of the board. I'm going to go over briefly the 3 teleconferencing options that are available to this board under the Brown Act. In addition, go over a recommendation as well as a draft policy that is included in the board's agenda packet for this meeting. So under the Brown Act, there are 3 different types of teleconferencing options. All of them are permissive, none of them are required, but
what I'll call a traditional method that's been used since probably the inception of the Brown Act or shortly thereafter. It's the kind of traditional teleconferencing where a board or committee member can teleconference at an off-site location, whether within the jurisdiction or outside of the jurisdiction of the agency. That off-site location becomes open to the public so they can make public comment, they can participate in the meeting. The agenda is noticed at those locations and the meeting must be ADA accessible. The second teleconferencing option is the AB 361 fully virtual meetings that we are doing for this meeting and have been doing since the mid coronavirus pandemic. Under this option, this is where the board adopts a resolution every 30 days and the full board can meet virtually. There is no in-person requirement and the members of the public are also allowed to attend virtually. This option, the legislation sunsets on January 1 of 2024, but it only can be used during an active state of emergency. So since the governor has announced that the state of emergency for the COVID pandemic will end at the end of this month, this is no longer an option for public agencies for the COVID pandemic. Should another state of emergency arise between now and 2024, it would be an option for agencies to use, but the current resolutions that have been adopted are now sunsetting. The third option, which we'll call the AB 2449 or the justification option, allows a limited number of board or committee members during a meeting to teleconference in for either just cause or emergency circumstances. Just cause is defined as either a child care or caregiving need, a contagious illness, a need related to a physical or mental disability, or travel while on official business for a public agency. Under this circumstance, a board member would have to provide notice to the full board or committee prior to the board meeting. And this option is limited for a board member to teleconference in for just cause up to 2 times per year. Second option is the emergency circumstances, and that's really limited. The statute defines it as a physical or family medical emergency that prevents a member from attending in person. For this option, a board member would have to submit their request in advance of a meeting, and it actually requires approval by a majority of the full board or the committee for which the request is being submitted. So in the event of teleconferencing in for just cause or emergency circumstances, it requires the agency to then turn the full meeting into a hybrid virtual meeting. So what this means is that a quorum of the full board would have to be physically present at the location for the meeting, and then the remote member would participate virtually. They would not have to notice their location on the agenda. They could be fully virtual. However, they would have to have their camera on during the meeting. The law requires that they participate in both video and audio. And as well as the in-person meeting would then have to be on camera. So the agency would have to make sure that the meeting is now a hybrid meeting. There's a camera on the full board so that whoever's participating remotely can see the full board and the virtual member as if they were seeing the full board in person. It would also require the agency to include kind of a Zoom component like we are now to allow the public to remotely address the board or committee and as well as observe the meeting. I'll just remind the board that these circumstances are very, very limited, so they can't be used, in the event that someone doesn't want to travel or it's more convenient to participate remotely. It really is limited to these 2 certain circumstances, which are, medical, caregiving, those types of needs. Travel only on official agency business, though, not travel for pleasure or other business. They also can only be used up to 20% of the entire meetings for the calendar year, no more than 3 consecutive months. And particularly for just cause, that's limited to 2 times per year, as I mentioned. And this law sunsets in January of 2026. So before you today is a policy that was put together in the event that the board would like to authorize using AB 2449 as a teleconferencing option. As I mentioned earlier, it is permissive, it's not mandatory, so agencies do not have to avail themselves of this. It's an option should the agency desire to comply with it and also have the technological capability to comply with it. Staff has put together, along with general counsel, a policy and a recommendation that should the board authorize this, it only be used for the board budget and finance committee, the administration and operations committee, and as well as the TNOW committees. So kind of the three options are, should the board allow this at all? And then if so, should it be used for the full board or for the committees? And then if it's going to be an option, we put together a policy for the board's adoption. And the law allows an agency to put together a policy that's more restrictive than the statute. And so the policy before you, I'll say one deviation from the statute that we put in there that's a more strict requirement is that in order for staff to meet the timeframes to notice the agenda properly and have the public be able to access the meeting virtually, the agendas have to be posted 72 hours in advance of the meeting with all of the ways the public can participate, and the agendas cannot be changed after they are posted. So in order to accommodate a request for a just cause or emergency circumstances, we would need to know that 72 hours prior to the meeting so that the meeting could be set up as a hybrid virtual public meeting at the 72-hour mark when the agendas are required to be posted. You know, it's when this legislation was introduced, it was, I think, much more accommodating for a virtual scenario like this, but it was very, very limited throughout the legislative process. And this is, you know, the option that the board members have now. So just to recap, really the question here before the board is, should the board, you know, do you desire to have AB 2449 as a teleconferencing option? And then if so, would you support having it limited to the board committees and the TNOW committees, and as well as requesting approval for the adoption of the policy set forth in the staff report. So with my lengthy presentation, I'll open up for any questions.
Okay, so this item was discussed at executive committee, and at this point, we're looking staff is looking for direction and comments. So we'll go with comments from group number one.
Wildemar, I like the idea of for just the two committees and the TNOW.
Did you say including TNOW? Okay.
Yeah, yes, the two committees and including TNOWs.
Any other comments from group number one? And how about group number two?
I have a question, Tim Sheridan from Lake Elsinore.
Yes.
The old way to do it, where you had to notice that the board member would be out of town and a posting made, can that still be used if we adopt 2449?
Yes, that is still an option under the Brown Act. All three are options and they're not mutually exclusive. So you could technically have a board member doing a traditional teleconferencing at a meeting, as well as a board member doing a remote teleconferencing if this is approved.
Okay. I would just add that there was a circumstance where my job required me to be somewhere out of town, and I used that process, and it worked well. The hotel where we were staying for the job posted that I was going to be there, and it worked well. And so I think that's always an option that we have that's probably not very well known, but it's worked for me in the past. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from group number two?
Yeah, this is Jim Steiner from Corona. I'm with Bridget with the committee meetings and TNOW.
Thank you.
This is Dean Dynas from Menifee. I would concur with what Jim said.
Thank you. Any other comments? Group number 3?
Moreno Valley. I concur with my other colleagues, both committees and Tina.
Any other comments? Okay, Karen, group number 4. You've been waiting.
Did you say
You're
me?
up.
Oh, good.
Yes, I did. I know you've been waiting.
I know, I just want to not be distracted. What my concern is that Tim started to go down the path of the pre-COVID way we were able to do things, and he was talking about the hotel and stuff. We can still call in, and I understand that it's a lot of record keeping on the 249. I have a different explanation of it, and I'm not sure about the being exclusive on them. You're running two parallel, the pre-COVID, and then you got the AB 2449. They're similar, but there's very strict differences as far as the numbers and the posting and everything else. Both of them you have a majority. So I think it's really just down, I guess, preference on that. But I think we worked well pre-COVID. And if you really needed to miss, there was a way of calling in and telecommuting when there was a situation. The just cause is another thing that we're going to have to determine whether somebody's really got a good cause or not a good cause in the honor system. And you're putting, it's kind of a weird situation. If you don't agree with it, how many people are going to say, I don't agree to one of the colleagues here on the board? So I just think it's a little tougher, and I just kind of think we should stick to the old way, but the majority always wins. So thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any other comments from group number 4? Has the clerk received any request to speak in writing on this item?
No, Chair, I have not.
Is there anyone on the line that would like to make a comment on this item? Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Corona moves.
Waldemar second.
Thank you. The clerk, please take a roll call vote.
Yes, Chair. City of Banning.
Excuse, could I ask a question? This is Linda
Yes.
Krupa in Hemet.
Yes, Linda.
What exactly are we voting on? What is the motion? Pre-COVID or all of this stuff with all of the due cause and just cause and all of that?
I would ask the maker of the motion to clarify.
You'd have to ask
Corona.
Yeah, sorry. So as I understand it, we are able to call in for committee meetings and the TNOW meetings, but we need to be in person for the board meeting. Is that correct?
So staff recommendation would be that for the full board, it would be in person. For the committee meetings and TNOW, they're in person, but the recommendation in the staff report is to authorize using AB 2449 teleconferencing as an option for those meetings. And then there's a policy in the staff report that the board has been requested to approve along with that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so it's to approve AB 2449?
Yeah.
Clarification from staff.
So the recommendation in the staff report is to approve 2449 for committees and TNOW, but not for full board because of the logistics of trying to make that work at the county. However, as Supervisor Spiegel and some others have said, there's also the option of just doing it the way you did it before and
sending an alternate or teleconferencing from a hotel and posting your location, like Director Sheridan mentioned. That's certainly an option as well. I just wanted to clarify, make it really clear. The law is very restrictive on the reasons to call in no matter what we pass. So even if you're in, a committee and you want a teleconference in, you have to have a just cause or emergency circumstance. It has to be approved. You can only do so many a year. There's a whole bunch of rules that are in the law that have to be followed. Essentially, no matter which way Barbara and I batted this around as we talked about it, it seems like it could help the public. Not certain that it helps the board when it comes to coming to a meeting versus calling it a meeting versus, because you still have to be here or you have to have a reason, a defined reason to not. And that's something that's a requirement.
And that's 72 hours before.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to cite 72 hours before if you have, yeah. Karen?
Yeah, just cause is more under the emergency. It's not just that you're going to be traveling. And I think people aren't understanding that. This is a way to, if you can't get a child care to cover your kid, it's not a real emergency, but it's an emergency if your mom or dad that's got a kid at home, or you're in the hospital. It's not because I don't feel like driving to Riverside. And we have to be very, very careful with that, because this is a law and it's enforceable. And if anybody fails that, that's what I'm saying. We have to approve as a board anybody's reason to not attend. And it can't just, it can't be, well, I couldn't get the day off work. That's not an emergency in the lies of the law. So it doesn't seem that, we all need to really look at this law and what we're voting on. And that's why I said we were able to get around this pre-COVID. Plus, you only have three times. We can't all do it because then you can't have a board meeting if you don't have a majority at the board meeting. So if everybody had the same emergency right before a board meeting, and then we don't have a quorum at the board meeting. So there's more to this than I think you guys are understanding.
Can I make a comment too?
Yes, Timothy.
There's also the pre-COVID way of doing it. You have to allow for members of the public to come to wherever you are. Under the 2449, my understanding is you don't have to allow the public to come. And I think that council indicated that they're not mutually exclusive, so you could have both the pre-COVID and what we're considering now. The pre-COVID process has not gone away, essentially, is what I understand. Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Tim. Jeremy?
Yes, thank you. I think all of us on this meeting agree that we've all, been a part of the Zoom platform and telecommuting for a long time now. And I'm more in line with what Supervisor Spiegel's talking about and the complexity of this AB law that we're discussing. I think we're complicating things, in my opinion. I think we should just, there's, and I guess this is this is a question for legal counsel as well, because the way it was told to me, either from SCAG or RCTC, is they're actually looking at the bill again to identify the needs for this very conversation of allowing for telecommuting. So it sounds like we're probably going to be having this conversation down the road once again. But for now, the consensus, in my opinion, it's just simpler if we go back to pre-COVID, to the days where there was 3 people and 35 sandwiches at events, as my former chair in Temecula indicated. But I think that's just the status quo that we're with right now. And I don't want to make a substitute to your motion, but would like some more dialogue on the possibility of just going back and not having to complicate things. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Jeremy. So Jim, you're the maker of the motion?
You know what? I'm like to hear from Steve and Zach. They got their hands up. I'm more than willing to withdraw my motion if someone has a better one.
Okay, Steve, I didn't see you.
That's right. Thank you, Chair. I just want to make sure that I'm understanding correctly too. This is the second time, we get to think about it, but did I hear correctly? It's not, if we adopt this, it still allows for all the things that we had before pre-COVID to be in place. In other words, if you're at an event or a conference, you still have that ability in here. This just expands what allows for someone to teleconference, right? It doesn't undo what we used to be able to do before. It allows for that and a little bit more. Although, as was noted in the previous meeting, I think it's a little ironic that an emergency, if you have a health emergency or a childcare emergency, it likely you don't have 36 hours notice or 72 hours notice. Sorry, 72 hours notice. That's an emergency would typically be something very last minute, and so it is a little ironic of what's classified as an emergency. But this doesn't take away the ability to do the previous things. It just expands a bit. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, that's correct.
So if we did move forward with it, all this, the concerns, the things that we've been able to do before, we'd be able to do. It just makes now a provision for the emergency that you're aware of 72 hours in advance, right? I think that's what we understand it. So I'll just leave it there. But I don't know if it restricts us anymore to move forward with what staff's proposing. But I do think it's probably going to have to come back for conversation more as it's teased apart once everyone realizes these sort of glaring discrepancies that are making it difficult. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Steve. Mike, I see you have your hand up. Mike?
Yes. So tracking this, the items that are associated with 2449, is staff going to track that and then post where folks are? You know, have you gotten your 20% or you're at 10% of your meetings? To me, it just seems like it's going to be a lot of extra work for staff. Do you see that the same way?
Yes. Yeah, staff would keep track of the attendance and the number of times that folks have teleconference under 2449.
And again, we're just trying to single out a couple of committees and apply a 2449 to those two committees. Is that correct?
Yes, it's two board committees and then the T-Now committees.
Okay, I think Supervisor Spiegel has a good idea as far as just going back to the pre-COVID, making it easier for staff as well as it's clean across the board, at least in my opinion anyway. So thank you for that. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Mike.
Zach also.
Back. I don't see. Oh, Zach, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you very much, Chair. So I agree with Director Spiegel and Director Smith on this one. I think it's just easier. I mean, I don't want to beat up the Assembly bill too much. I mean, it doesn't make a ton of sense to me right now. We've done a pretty good job accommodating the public. I think we've done a great job accommodating the public and carrying out the functions of RTA. But I think it just complicates things a little too much for everything. Like Director Smith said, you know, that some of the T-Now meetings, we talked about this in exec staff or exec committee, and, you know, it's going to impact attendance on T-Now and likely some of the committee meetings. But I think to just make it clean, we just go back to in person. We have an alternate if you can't make it. And then there's still our provisions in place to accommodate if someone's traveling or if there's an emergency or something. So I just think it creates a lot of issues, but you know, it's going to come down to the board deciding as a whole. Those are just my thoughts. I think it just complicates it. Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. Jocelyn, do you have your hand up?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I just want to get clarification because as I'm hearing everyone speak, I think I got more and more confused. Just to clarify, so for this bill, under this bill, if there's an emergency, whether it's childcare or health related, you do not need to provide a 72-hour notice. Is that accurate? Because someone said you do.
Language, so the language of the statute does not require 72 hours notice, but the way that the Brown Act works and that the agendas have to be posted 72 hours before the meeting. And this board doesn't have a hybrid virtual meeting for all of its meetings. In order to make the meeting a hybrid virtual meeting, we would need to post that on the agenda 72 hours before the meeting. And so therefore we need to know 72 hours before a meeting if someone's going to teleconference in, so that the agenda can be posted in accordance with the Brown Act with the Zoom information on it.
Got it. Okay, this is thank you. That's very helpful to know. So basically what I'm hearing is that even if, because I'll be completely transparent with everyone, I am in favor of this bill as a mom. I think this bill it's great, and it's not like anyone can abuse, you know, the bill, because you're only allowed up to 2 emergency meetings per year, I believe. But with that being said, I'm definitely leaning towards just keeping it pre-COVID, simply because it sounds like we don't really have the capacity to, or the technology, or the staffing to support this, you know, to support what needs to be done if there's an emergency. Anyway, I'm in favor of keeping it pre-COVID.
Chair Molina, this is Steiner. So listening to my colleagues,
Hold on.
I'm sorry?
Go ahead, Jim, and then I'll go to Tim after you.
Okay, yeah, all I was going to say is listening to the comments of my colleagues, and I guess I didn't realize I would have put a lot more work on staff. I generally am not the kind of person that likes to vote, that puts more pressure on staff. So I would like to withdraw the motion. And I think Zach explained it pretty well. So maybe he would offer up an alternative motion.
Before we go to Zach, Tim, do you have a comment?
Yeah, because it's mutually exclusive, we can keep the pre-COVID and also adopt this. The benefit for adopting this is, let's say you're in the hospital and you want to participate. If we adopt this and you follow this process, the public won't have access to your hospital room. If you're not in the hospital, if you're just traveling somewhere and you want to use the pre-COVID process, well, the public would have access to the place that you're located and where it was posted. It has to be posted, I think it's 72 hours prior to the meeting. I don't see this as a bad thing to adopt, because ultimately, if you're in the hospital, you don't want the public to come in. And I do appreciate that this may put a little bit more work on staff, but I don't think that it's excessive amount of work. And so I think that we should adopt this, because we also have the pre-COVID process that we can use if we so choose. That's my position. Thank you.
Zach, did you want to respond to Jim's idea about you
Yeah.
setting up a motion?
Well, I really don't want to make a motion right now, but sorry, Jim. But I mean, I think I keep going back to the idea that we have, and we've talked about this in the past. We have all alternates. Each one of us has an alternate. I know the city of Temecula's alternate is very much plugged in and engaged, and is willing to step in at a moment's notice, is reading the agendas, is paying attention. So I don't know that if I was in the hospital, I would want to participate in a meeting anyways. So for me, I feel like it goes back, and I understand the staff report and staff's recommendation, but to me, it just seems we're overcomplicating this. But again, those are my thoughts, but I don't want to make a motion. Sorry, Jim.
Okay, so
Madam
we need
Chair,
a
may I?
motion.
We'll let Jeremy make it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, may I? First of all, if I'm having a meeting in the hospital, I hope someone would come and bring me Chinese or some real food. But I do want to make the motion that we move forward with going back post-COVID. I think there's been such good conversation on this, and I do believe, from what I'm hearing from my entities at SCAG, RCTC, that this will be readdressed in the future. I know Sacramento's having this conversation right now. So I will make that motion that we move forward with all meetings as we were in post-COVID. Thank you.
Thank you. And so Bridget, do you want to keep your second to that motion?
Sure.
City Beaumont will second.
Yes.
Just to clarify, Director Smith, that was to go back to pre-COVID, correct?
That is correct. If I misspoke,
Okay,
pre-COVID,
not
yes.
Got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Tim, you had another comment?
Yeah, I'm sorry. We don't need to make a motion on this because this is already available. So essentially what we're really doing here is we're not making a motion at all. We're just not adopting what the staff recommended. Is that right?
Well, the staff puts forth a recommendation in the staff report, but they're asking for direction from the board. So the board does not have to agree with staff's recommendation. So in this case, the motion would be to not approve the 2449 authorization and not approve the policy, essentially, and go back to the pre-COVID teleconferencing.
Can I add to that?
Right.
Just to
I mean,
add
but
to that, Director Sheridan, I think maybe what you're asking is if we have to, because 2449 already exists, if it's already an option available, and the answer is no, the board would need to allow for it. It's not something that's available automatically to everyone. It's up to the board to decide if it's an option or not. So that's why the motion would make it so this is not an option.
right. Not that we're going back to pre-COVID because the pre-COVID is already available.
Correct.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
So are we clear? Yep. Okay, so we have a first and a second. Will the clerk please take a roll call vote?
City of Banning,
Yes.
City of Beaumont,
Yes.
City of Cali Mesa,
Yes.
City of Canyon Lake,
Aye.
City of Corona,
Yes.
City of Eastvale,
Yes.
City of Hemet,
Yes.
City of Jurupa Valley,
Yes.
City of Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
City of Menifee,
Aye.
City of Moreno Valley,
Yes.
City of Marietta,
Yes.
City of Paris,
Yes.
City of Riverside,
Yes.
City of San Jacinto,
Yes.
City of Temecula,
Temecula, yes.
City of Wildomar,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 1,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 2,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 3,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 5.
Yes.
Chair, it's unanimous.
Thank you all for this discussion. I know we're beating a dead horse, it seems like. The more we talk about it, the more confusing it becomes, but thank you for all of your comments. This motion has passed. Okay, next item is number 8, authorization to award agreement number S22180 to Helixstrom to provide information technology managed services. Melissa Blankenship will present.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Melissa Blankenship, and I'm the Director of Contracts for the agency. The item before you is authorization to award agreement number S22180 to Helixstorm to provide information technology managed services. The agency's IT department currently consists of 3 staff members who support the IT environment. This includes software applications such as Microsoft Office, Oracle, Infor, Clever Devices, Hastis, and Genfair, along with supporting over 100 employees who use computers in their daily work activities. Hiring additional staff with the requisite skills in networking, storage area networks, server virtualization, and other specialized areas would be costly, considering coverage is needed for 24/7 operations. Additionally, it would be difficult to find a single individual with the required experience in all of these areas, which would result in the agency needing to hire multiple people. Therefore, staff has determined that the most cost-effective and technically advantageous option is to outsource these services to a third-party vendor. The agency currently contracts out these services, and that contract is set to expire on February 28th of this year. The services that will be provided include monitoring and maintaining the agency's operational environment on a 24/7, 365 basis. The vendor will be analyzing and assessing equipment and performance degradation, performing related hardware, software testing and maintenance, and maintaining statistics on both hardware and software problems. The vendor will also monitor and maintain all servers, network switches, access points, routers, firewalls, storage area networks, and virtualized server environments. Furthermore, the vendor will ensure that all monitored devices have the latest firmware and security updates to reduce the likelihood of a data security breach. On December 9th, 2022, the agency issued the request for proposals via Planet Bids. On January 4th, 2023, the agency received proposals from 7 vendors, which can be found on page 53 of your agenda. An evaluation committee representing staff from the purchasing and IT departments evaluated the proposals in accordance with the evaluation factors listed in the RFP. As a result of the technical review, Helix Storm and Vector USA, who were the 2 highest technically ranked vendors, were invited for interviews. At the conclusion of the interview process, staff requested best and final offers from both vendors. The final pricing submitted by each vendor can also be found on page 53 of your agenda. Based on the overall evaluation process, the technical review, price analysis, and interviews, it was the evaluation committee's determination that Helix Storm was the most technically responsive and responsible vendor and provided the best value to the agency. Helix Storm is the incumbent vendor, so they are very familiar with the current IT environment, which will require minimal transition activities. They can be on site if needed within 1 to 2 hours. Their initial response time is guaranteed to be within 15 minutes, even after hours, and they will provide 24/7, 365 monitoring and response. Based on all the analysis, staff is recommending the award of a 5-year agreement to Helix Storm to provide information technology managed services. The price is found to be fair and reasonable in comparison to the independent cost estimate, and all proposals were received under full and open competition. Sufficient funds to cover this request are included in the agency's FY23 operating budget. Funding for these services beyond the current fiscal year will be included in future fiscal year budget requests. This item was discussed at the Board Administration and Operations Committee meeting on February 1st, and the committee members unanimously approved and recommended this item to the full Board of Directors for their consideration. Therefore, the recommendation before you today is to authorize staff to award agreement number S22-180 to Helix Storm to provide information technology managed services for a 1-year base term with 4 1-year options for a not to exceed amount of $611,500. And Chair, that completes my presentation.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, group number 1, any comments on this item? Group number 2.
This is Linda Krupa. I do have one question, maybe 2. Because of the wide disparity in cost, what is the reason for that? And also, how long has Helix Storm been in business?
Yeah, so regarding the cost, so they actually cost the project the same way as in they priced it by device. So the number of devices they're going to have to monitor, and just their cost per device was a lot higher than Helix Storm. And Helix Storm priced it the same way per device. So they're just charging us more per device, the other vendor. And then also they have the setup and the implementation cost that Helix Storm doesn't have because Helix Storm is the incumbent vendor. Helix Storm has been in business for 15 years, so since 2007.
Very good and good work. I mean, that's a big cost differential in there. So, yeah, good work sorting it all out.
Thank you, Linda. Any other comments from group 2? Group number 3? Okay, Karen. I think you're muted.
Yeah, I know, I saw that. You didn't want to hear what I said anyway. My concern is exactly what Linda had said, and when it's almost 3 times the difference, to me, that's alarming. And I know that you said you interviewed them and that's the devices, but I still, it just concerns me. Of course, I prefer to keep the way it is because it is Temecula versus Rancho Cucamonga. So to keeping in our county, we always like those extra things. So I just want to say I'm just concerned about 3 times difference in the prices. It just is, to me, something we need to be very aware of, and hopefully no change orders. Were they aware that they were 3 times less than their competitor?
No, not until they see the staff report.
I know, but now that we're agreeing on this and they're not having any question on being so much less.
Well, just to remind you, because that's a great question. So they are the incumbent vendor. So, and they've been a great vendor for us, and we are, ending a 5-year contract with them right now. And we've had no change orders with them.
And are they the similar price to what we're paying now?
Yeah, so they had a slight increase. It was a 5% increase per device.
Okay, that alone tells me it's okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Any other comments from group number 4?
No.
Has the clerk received any requests to speak in writing on this item?
No, Chair, I have not.
Is there anyone on the line that would like to comment on this item? Okay, do we have a motion to approve?
Moreno
So
Valley.
moved, Canyon Lake.
I heard Dave and then Jeremy as the second.
Works
So
for me.
Please take the roll call.
City of Banning,
Yes.
City of Beaumont,
Yes.
City of Cali Mesa,
Yes.
City of Canyon Lake,
Aye.
City of Corona,
Yes.
City of Eastvale, City of Eastvale, go on there, City of Hemet,
Yes.
City of Jurupa Valley,
Yes.
City of Lake Elsinore,
Aye.
City of Menifee,
Aye.
City of Moreno Valley,
Yes.
City of Marietta,
Yes.
City of Paris,
Yes.
City of Riverside,
Yes.
City of San Jacinto,
Yes.
City of Temecula,
Yes.
City of Wildomar,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 1,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 2,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 3,
Yes.
County of Riverside District 5.
Yes.
Chair, it's unanimous.
Thank you. Okay, I think I was neglect at the beginning of our meeting to acknowledge the passing, I think everyone's heard by now, the passing of Councilman Ted Hoffman from the city, Mayor Pro Tem from the city of Norco. This point is board member comments. I'll save my comments for the end. Do we have any board member comments from group number 1?
I was terribly sad to hear that Ted Hoffman had passed, though. Today I did wear a cowboy hat in his honor.
Thank you. How about group number 2?
Chair, this is Jim Steiner, and I just want to
Yeah.
reiterate what Bridget said. You know, Ted, I only knew him 4 years, but what a nice guy. And, you know, of all the different commissions and committees he was part of, he was always very engaged and he was listening and he was asking good questions. But he was just a joy to really be around. And, you know, we're losing him one by one here, you guys. So we got to just kind of appreciate each other and, you know, just send my condolences to all of his family and friends and colleagues, and he will be missed.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments from group number 2? Group number 3? Group number 4? I'm sorry, Jerry, I missed you.
Oh, I'm group 4. Thank you, Madam Chair. I also, it is such a tragedy, the passing of Ted Hoffman. He was such, he always contributed to all of the conversations and elevated the conversations that we had in the T Now as well as the regular meetings. So his contributions, but as a person, he was just the warmest person that you ever want to meet. Just a great person. He will be sorely missed. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Jerry. And so he, Ted had recommended back in, I'm sorry, Karen, did you want to say something?
I'm sorry. I've probably known Ted the longest of anybody here on this call. Those of you who don't know, he was so proud of being a veteran. He was a retired Riverside County Sheriff's Deputy. So he's really, his roots are here in Norco. I mean, he's a lifelong Norco resident. He was one of the most giving, gentle men that I have known. Dedicated to volunteerism. He contributed financially and of his time on a regular basis. Was up every morning at 4 o'clock with his horses. And the whole entire community has benefited with his involvement in the community as well as on the city council. You know, we all look at Norco and we all know what Norco stands for. And it's those folks that could stand up and hold tight to that identity and work to sustain that for a community to keep that identity. You know, he was, you know, very involved in the Horseman Association and the Professional Rodeo Cowboys, if you knew that, and just the list, and a founding member of the Day of the American Cowboy, the list of what he does. But for me, he was on several of the county committees as well. And during the early days, he was one that helped bridge Norco and Corona. There was a time that Norco and Corona kind of rubbed in a negative way. And Kathy Azevedo and I worked hard, and Ted picked up the pieces. And he just is such a gentleman. And he was the primary caretaker for his wife. So there's just, people don't realize how much this man has given truly of himself and always put everybody else first. He will be just sorely missed. So thank you for taking the time to honor him and his memory.
Thank you, Karen. I think everyone has the same feelings about Ted. I've only known him for a short while, but very, very giving man, very funny, very kind is what I've known of him. And so, kind of in light of him being a veteran, we were thinking maybe on a future agenda item to maybe make a commemorative for Ted with the other veteran commemoratives at the Mobility Hub. If that's something that we would all like to do and consider, bring it up for an agenda item, and I think it would be most fitting for him, for his family, and the fact that he was a veteran.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you. Those
I would
are-
definitely
those are my
support that.
comments. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, moving on to the next item is announcements. Kristen?
Thank you, Chair. Staff is also saddened by the passing of Ted. We had a good conversation yesterday, some of us, about how, and I know even when I was doing presentations before becoming CEO, you would think, like, what's Ted gonna ask, right? Because he's gonna read the staff report cover to cover, and he's gonna care about what's in there, and he's gonna come up with an intelligent question, and you gotta be ready for Ted. And we all felt that way. We're really going to miss him. A little fact, I believe, if you go back to the board meeting where you approved the design of the Vine Street Mobility Hub, Ted was the one who suggested we add a Veterans Memorial. So how awesome that we can honor him there. I think that's a great idea. That's all my comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, at this point, we have a closed session item. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, Item D, Item 2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, one matter. This meeting will now move to closed session at 3:02. We're good to go. Thank you so much. Our next regular meeting is Thursday, March 23rd at 2 p.m. And today's meeting, the February 23rd regular Board of Directors meeting, is adjourned at 3:13. Thank you all for this great meeting and comments. And again, our condolences to the family for Ted and all of our relationships with him.